There's been some reporting, at least there was last year or so, about the human soul having been found. Quantum theory of consciousness, something called OR. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Oh yeah. Yes. Well, first of all, what they're talking about, in quantum theory, there are certain kinds of things that cannot be explained in what are called classical physical processes. So they're just like classical physical processes are what might be reduced to what you might call general relativity and Newtonian mechanics, right? So there's certain things that is simply like quantum entanglement, right? Where if you take a particle on one end of the universe that was created in the same pair with another particle at the other end of the universe, and you adjust its spin, then of course the other particle simultaneously adjusts its spin to the spin, to the opposite spin of the particle at the other end of the universe simultaneously. No way can that be explained, right, in terms of a classical process. So people call it, and rightly so, something that is transphysical, but I would call it classical physics. But quantum physics itself is still physics because it is still in its own way, the whole of the quantum field is still conditioned by spatio-temporal concerns. You don't escape quantum time, you don't escape, as it were, the whole of quantum, of the quantum space of the field, and so of course that's still physical. But the interior of the quantum field absolutely is doing weird things which give you a very, very good clue that the universe is not just, classical physics or atoms or things of that nature. It is a very, very interesting classical physics manifestations of almost like it can go from one part to the other without going through any of the other parts in between, right? I mean, this is just simply a manifestation of what you might call a mind-like sort of thing. But you don't want to carry that analogy too far. Why? Because quantum mechanics does not explain self-consciousness. Self-consciousness does something which is completely beyond space and time. It is in two relative positions with respect to itself simultaneously. Look, when I say I'm aware of my awareness, or I'm experiencing myself experiencing, the very phenomenon that gives rise to the inwardness of subjectivity in David Chalmers' own words, right? Try to think about that for a second, that your awareness has captured itself. Think for a moment of a dog trying to catch its tail. Now imagine that the dog doesn't just catch its tail, it actually swallows its whole self. And now it goes around once again, as it were, and swallows itself, swallowing itself. That's what you do in self-consciousness. And the only way you can explain that is if, as it were, the dog is going at an infinite velocity, which of course physical dogs can't do. You cannot have a physical agency, quantum or classical, which transcends completely inwardly and outwardly, transcends time and space. Okay. So for all intents and purposes, that faculty, that self-consciousness is very, very much a spiritual faculty, and you're not going to explain it in or. You're not going to explain it in quantum theory. You're not going to explain it in quantum entanglement. It's still immersed in space and time, and self-consciousness and human intellection is beyond space and time completely.